Hello viewers, welcome to the first episode of me. Today I'll be looking at and rambling about the Super Famicom boxes, as I quite like them, although I do have some irks with them. This is my first video on YouTube, so it's not really going to be edited well because I don't really know video editing, and I don't have a tripod yet, so I apologize for the primitive video style here. But let's just jump right in. So I have 4 examples here. We have Final Fantasy, Bomberman, Scary School Stories, and Banshee's Last Cry. So I guess to first off, if you're not familiar with the Super Famicom, it is the Japanese variant of the Super Nintendo. And I actually have a Super Famicom, obviously, but I don't have a Super Nintendo. I prefer the Super Famicom, personally, my personal opinion. There's a lot of exclusives on the console that aren't on the Super Nintendo, and the games are cheaper, being Japanese. Anyways, let's jump right in. So the first thing you probably notice is that Super Famicom boxes are vertical. If you're familiar with Super Nintendo boxes, they are horizontal. And I actually prefer these boxes. I think they allow far more artwork on the box. I like the vertical orientation for storing. For storing on a shelf, I think it looks far nicer. And something about the black box template on the Super Nintendo, it looks nice, but compared to these, I quite prefer these, to be fully honest. However, what I don't like is that while these are somewhat standardized, as you can see, there's the Super Nintendo logo in the corners. They aren't quite standardized. And what I mean is you can see some are horizontal, some are vertical, and the horizontal ones aren't really aligned right. This has a Super Nintendo, Super Famicom logo in this corner. This one is in that corner. This is the bottom, whereas this is the top, I believe. And even more than that, on the side, when you're displaying them, you see this says Super Famicom on the side with the logo on the side. This, you have to display upside down instead, and it says Super Famicom on the side. Bomberman has it on the right side here, Super Famicom, and Banshee's Last Cry, they just put it where they please. This one's in the middle and it doesn't have the name next to it, and this one's just on the side. So if you're collecting these, I just pretend this is vertical. That, it doesn't really match. It throws you off. And it's not really a big problem. It's a pretty stupid little nitpick, but it is something that irks me. And this is just my ramblings about these, so I'm just going to talk about what irks me. I do hear a lot of complaints amongst game collectors about cardboard boxes and how plastic boxes are far better. This is why the Genesis was better in this regard. They had plastic cases. And this is an incredibly hot take, I understand. I actually prefer cardboard boxes. I think they're way cooler. Plastic, maybe it's because all consoles nowadays release with plastic cases, but I find cardboard cases much cooler. And while a lot of people say that plastic cases feel more premium, I actually think that cardboard cases feel more premium, or more personalized at least. Like, you have a cardboard box and it feels more like this is mine. This is something that was made for me. It's a cardboard box with artwork printed on it. It feels nice. It feels like a collectible. Whereas I feel like plastic cases, they're nice. Obviously, they're higher quality. They are sturdier. They keep their shape way better. I just feel like they feel more cheap, or in a lot of cases, just more bland and without personality. And I know I'm in the minority on this one. A lot of people prefer plastic cases, and I don't blame them. But I personally think that the cardboard's really nice. I guess we will look at the inside of the boxes now. So this is my Final Fantasy box. This was one of my first Super Famicom games. My first was Donkey Kong Country, and I think Final Fantasy was my second first. And then I got Bomberman. And, oh, no. Proteus was my second favorite. I apologize. Excuse my opening job here. It's hard to do with one hand. So this is the inside. You got your box. You got a plastic little container with the manual. These manuals are actually quite thick. They're quite nice. A lot of times they have nice, fully fledged out artwork, screenshots. I can't read it because it's in Japanese, which is a shame. I would love to learn, just don't have the time. But like all the artwork, and I imagine it's giving pretty cool information, but I don't know. Thank you, Squaresoft. And then here's the cartridge. It comes in a case. There's a little thing here. I'm not going to bother picking that up. And here's the cartridge. I have a love-hate relationship with these. The cartridge looks edible, in my opinion. It looks like something that I want to eat. And it's smooth. It's nice. I mean, not smooth, but like it's a little rough. But like it looks smooth. Like it looks like a smooth, edible thing. And this is where I gotta hand it to the Super Nintendo. The cartridges are just better. As you can see on this, if you put it here, so let's say you store your games like this, or stacked on each other, there is no way of knowing what game you have on a shelf. You have to pull it out, go, I don't want to play this, and then put it back in and get another. What the Super Nintendo gets right is that they actually have end labels with the names, so you can actually look at it before pulling it out to see what game you have. And as much as I like these cartridges, I do, that's just better for the Super Nintendo to have that. This is not practical. The labels, a lot of times they follow the box artwork. They're nice, I suppose. Yeah, they're nice standard cartridges. They're not flimsy. They're made with nice plastic, in my opinion. The labels are really nice when in good condition. When you put it into the console, it gives you a nice clunk. I like that. And they're stored nice. I like this little thing. I can't put it in right because I'm using one hand and I'm looking through the camera. Put the manual on top. Slide it back in the case. I always hate taking it out of these boxes because of the god-awful noise it gives me. And yeah, that's the Super Famicom boxes and cartridge. This is going to be a short episode because there's honestly not a ton to talk about with these boxes. I like the boxes. I have gripes with them. I just told you some of the gripes. It's really not a big deal. They're boxes. They're not food. I'm not surviving off of these. I could live or die without the Banshee's Last Cry label, the Super Famicom label on the side being centered while the others aren't. That's good. I guess that is a conclusion of the first episode of me. Yeah, I hope you liked the video. If you do, subscribe, I suppose. I'll try posting more. Hopefully they'll get in better quality as time goes on.